Welcome to the Sageology podcast, where your host Sage shares her astrological and spiritual insights. Sit back, relax, expand your perspective, and enjoy.
Hey y'all, so welcome back to a new episode of the Sageology podcast. Sorry for my little hiatus. I strayed away from my commitment a bit. I did miss the Aquarius full moon, but I missed the Aquarius full moon because the Aquarius full moon whooped my ass. I know that's not an excuse and that I need to do like better at oof at planning and having stuff on time for you guys, but it was a lot. So, but I relocated. I'm newly situated, and so we go pick up where we left off. So today we're going to be talking about this Virgo new moon that is taking place on Saturday, August 23rd. Um, Let me tell you right now, if you are a Virgo baby, if you have any prominent Virgo placements in your chart, Virgo sun, moon, rising for sure, or if you know the Virgo area of your life is important, is on an angle, or if you have any other planets that are in Virgo in your chart and they're doing something important, or even if you don't know anything about astrology, you know, and you just listening to me because you like to hear me talk, or you're very new into astrology, you're not that much into knowing the different places of your chart and stuff like that. Let me say, one area of your life is about to drastically change in the next month. So get ready for that. You're going to have to adjust to that and you're going to have to surrender to that. This new moon, as an astrologer, right? People usually say the lunation before eclipse, that's like eclipse season. But as an astrologer and observing eclipses and eclipse seasons and observing what happens, the events that take place in people's lives, I feel like that eclipse veil starts to thin like literally a month before eclipse season. Like two moons, two lunations before eclipse season, you see shit start to pop off. It start to get serious. This new moon is not an eclipse, but it's tied to an Virgo solar eclipse that we are having. I feel like we are in eclipse season, y'all. So that basically means that the wheels of fate are turning. Things are changing in your life. You're going to start to experience and have fated events that put you in alignment and get you more closely aligned with your destiny, where you're supposed to go, the things that you are supposed to be achieving, the lifestyle that you are supposed to have. It's like little karmic pushes, right? And these karmic pushes could be for the better and it could be for the worse. It just, this is not astrology, but this is my own spiritual perspective. I personally spiritually believe that that just depends on where you are in your spiritual journey, how your spiritual team, how your ancestors, how your spirit guides feel, whatever thing you need that's going to push you towards a path that's going to get you more karmically aligned. Whether you already paid off that karma, you're going to be rewarded, or they're going to kind of put you towards a path that is going to encourage you to pay off more karmic debt. So whatever the wheels of fate eclipses push you towards is towards your highest good. But one of the reasons why I love astrology and I love breaking down this energy to y'all. And I preach about living a certain lifestyle, going about things a certain ways because it is so important um to be in alignment as much as you possibly can so you can live a life of ease. And some things are always going to be out of your control, but I do feel like it is always best to work with destiny instead of to work against it. So how can we work with destiny, especially talking about this, Virgo new moon um that's going on today. So, y'all, In the span of 1 month, one area of your life is going to completely change. It's going to look completely different than what it previously looked like. This eclipse, this Virgo new moon, not an eclipse, this Virgo new moon that we are having is at 0 degrees of Virgo, right? Whenever we have planets or something whenever we have planets at 0 degrees or something significant in astrology that's taking place at 0 degrees, that is the first degree of any sign. It is brand new baby energy. And sometimes baby energy could be unstable, or a little bit vague just because it's nothing really established. It's new energy, right? So what's the difference of something being at 0 degrees Virgo or 29 degrees of Leo? It's like a very little difference. And sometimes those energy tends to blend when you are just at the crack of the beginning of a new sign. So there may be little glimpses during this new moon, little glimpses of your reality about how things are going to change as it pertains to this area or this portion of your life, right? But let me see. Let me look at the date because I want to give y'all the proper date. On the 21st, September 21st, we are going to have a Virgo solar eclipse at 29 degrees Virgo. So we have a new moon at 0 degrees Virgo, right? The very first energy of a sign. And we're having an eclipse at 29 degrees Virgo, the very last energy of the sign. So we're having two new moons essentially in the same area of the sky, and they both are very intense. So that means that whatever area of your life as it pertains with Virgo is going to drastically change. So just be aware of that. And a big part of this awareness is being open to things being out of side of your control and really just surrendering to trust, right? Because like I said, eclipses are intense. So much energy happens during an eclipse is that it's not really something that we can pretty much orchestrate. So we have to just surrender to control and kind of allow life, allow faith to push us to where we want to be. It's kind of making me think of Death So Raven. I used to watch Death So Raven a lot growing up, which is kind of funny, like looking at my life now and what I do. But I used to watch Death So Raven a lot growing up. And you know how in Death So Raven, where she will have a vision, she will see something and she'll try to like get in front of the vision and she'll try to control the vision and she'll just come up with all these little schemes or whatever to try to prevent anything that she saw happening from happening. A lot of times she either what? She made the situation worse, she either made the situation worse, and 9 times out of 10, she did not avoid it. So, eclipse energy could kind of be like that. You can kind of get glimpses, or you may not. You could kind of get glimpses to where you think you may be going. You may not get glimpses to where you think you may where you think you may be going, but it's kind of like you can see these little things, or you could get nudges to where fate is trying to push you and you just have to surrender and go with the flow because it's not necessarily something that you can control. So that's one of the best things to do. And this may be something that's kind of hard to lean into because the sign of Virgo loves details. Virgo loves details. It loves to know what's going on. It loves for things to be a certain way. It loves to have a plan. It doesn't like uncertainty. So you may feel this way as it pertains to the Virgo portion of your life, or you may have these feelings as it pertains to the Virgo portion of your life. Like this may be a portion of your life where you're used to being in control of the situation. You're used to being things being exactly the way you like it, you know? But you may be thrust into a situation, a change where it's something new, and it's just like, okay, I just have to see where life takes me. I have to keep continuing to put one foot in front of the other and just allow things to settle down. But as you come into this new journey, as you come into this new energy that's associated with this new moon, and you're kind of taking observation of the new space, of the new circumstance you're in, and you're like, okay, I see this, I have this going on. I see this is like this. I see that is like that. Like you start to take in the little details, right? But start to take those little details, and it's okay to try and formulate a pattern or routine in your life. But if you still feel uncertainty, please know that that's okay, because this is not a time where you necessarily have to have everything figured out. It's still okay for things to be new. This new moon is at 0 degrees of Virgo, but we also have a lot of things in the sky that are in the beginning of signs. We have Saturn at 0 degrees Aries. We have Neptune at 1 degrees Aries. We have Pluto at 1 degrees of Aquarius. We have Uranus at 1 degrees Gemini. So with these outer planets all being in the beginning of new signs, we are dealing with a lot of newness that we don't necessarily know what it is yet. You're dealing with something that you don't know. So I do feel like there's a fine line between um I'm gonna contradict myself a little bit, but just roll with me here, right? When I said that it's important to not have to be in too much control over eclipse season, that is a, like period of time for about 2 months max, really like a monthish, but like, like 2 months, where things could just be really intense. But overall, with Saturn really like this fall until February, with Saturn being in the baby energy of Aries and Neptune being right there too, I feel like there's going to be this push from the divine. There's going to be this push from the universe for us to almost psychically, not psychically, but intuitively, we're going to have these hints, these nudges to develop new routines, to develop new patterns. You may want to start doing things that you've never done before. You may be like, okay, wake up one day, you know what? I think I want to change my diet. You know what? I think I want to do this. You know what? I think I want to do that. You know what? This is no longer resonating with me. You know what? I don't think I want to stay in this friend group. I don't think I want to stay in this friend circle. And as you kind of experience these new peaks of interest or something not associated, or it's something, you no longer resonate with it, don't hold on to these things and try and force them to make sense. And if something wants to leave your life, allow it to leave your life. You do not have to be in control of the situation. But it is important that when you have these little inspirations or nudges of hints of where you want to be, of where you see yourself being, kind of like these little, divine little sprinkles of ideas being dropped into your head. It is important to embrace it, because that could be divine protection, divine guidance, giving you little nudges of the new person that you're supposed to be, who's going to exist in this reality. These little thoughts, these little ideas you could have could be, this is the divine or the universe telling you this is what you need, this is the energy you need to embody for Pluto and Aquarius. This is the energy you need to body for Uranus and Gemini. This is the energy you need to embody for Neptune and Aries. But you don't know it yet. You don't fully know how this is going to pay off, because we're just in the beginning of these energies, right? But if it's like this little seed that's planted in your head, if you latch onto the seed and you put it in fertile soil and you allow it to grow and you allow it to expand, you can see years later, months later, oh, that little nudge that I had, you know, late 2025 has grown, it has blossomed into something beautiful. So it's important to be grounded and to pay attention to this. And y'all, Saturn in Aries is going to test our discipline, right? Honestly, I'm gonna tell you, honestly, the only positive way that this energy could be manifesting. Because Saturn is a malefic planet. It does not like to be in Aries. This could be very difficult energy. But in the most positive version of this energy is going to be forcing you to one, develop new habits, and two, heal because Neptune is right there. If you are not healing, it's God. If God is not, or the universe is not forcing you to heal or to do some deep work in any way, shape, or form, I would be deeply concerned. You're probably misaligned, right? And if you are not struggling to some extent or having to dedicate strenuous work and effort into breaking into a new reality or developing new routines, new habits during this time, I would be deeply concerned. It is important that you are having the nudge to do these two things. If you do not have the nudge to do these two things, I would be worried about that. Like I will literally be worried about that. I do think that that is just the time that we are in because the dark side of Saturn and Aries is just having no direction, having no will, being undisciplined, being extremely impulsive and not having anything that sticks. The dark side of Neptune is being delusional, kind of wondering, thinking that you're going to do this one thing or have this one thing and it doesn't. It's almost the energy of like empty promises of someone waving a trophy over your head, but they're telling you don't have to do anything for it. It's like, oh yeah, you can get this, and that. And then it's like, okay, what I got to do to get this, and that. This sounds really good. And they're just like, oh, you don't have to do anything. Just da, da, da. It sounds like a scam. Like that's Neptune deceptive energy. That's literally a scam. You have to evaluate, are you getting scammed right now? And you will know if you're not getting scammed, if you're being forced to heal, and if you're being forced to do some work. But if you're not being forced to heal, baby, you are in an illusion. You're being scammed. So I will really sit with myself and think and evaluate. Is God forcing me to develop some new habits or to heal something right now? And if it is, then it's good, right? And we also have Pluto and Aquarius, this energy that is dealing with transformation, that's dealing with this death, that's dealing with this rebirth, right? Pluto is that phoenix energy. Pluto is that energy of dying to be reborn again, right? And it's sign of Aquarius. So honestly, okay, I'm sorry, y'all, but honestly, I feel like, because I feel like people talk a lot of shit about the sign of Aquarius, and people talk a lot of shit about the sign of Aquarius because some Aquarius are assholes, but trust me, it is hard to be an Aquarius. It's hard being an Aquarius. I do think that Aquarius have it hard. That is the sign where, first of all, it's ruled by Saturn. If something is ruled by Saturn, you know they're having a hard fucking time, right? And it's the sign of the sun's depression. Um, but I truly think that the energy of Aquarius represents the highest evolution of mankind. I feel like that is the highest, like, octave of energy that mankind can express. It holds the most elevated perspective, grounded in practicality. I do think that Jupiterian energies hold an elevated perspective. So, Sag and Pisces could sometimes carry this energy of elevated perspectives, right? But I do think a lot of times the energy of Jupiter could be just a little bit ungrounded. So, Sag and Pisces, they can have this elevated perspective, and sometimes just, through luck, through alignment, through being favored, having favor, they'll get those blessings. But I do think that the sign of Aquarius is the could represent the well represents the highest expression of mankind because it has this elevated perspective, but this perspective is developed within observation and facts and practicality, and there's a certain structure beneath it that allows this this thought set, this mind thought set, this mind sets, these thoughts, these ideas to be implemented in a way that is concrete and that helps reality, right? So I do think that Pluto in Aquarius is forcing us to evolve as humans and to come into a higher elevation of mankind, right? And so, even if we look at the world of AI and considering how our lives, how our society is about to drastically change, I genuinely believe is because we have this energy. It's like we're in a birth canal, right? Squeezing us and pressuring us to evolve and come into a higher um expression of ourselves, a higher expression of humanity. So you have to die and drop that shit that's not serving you. You gotta let it go. Because at the end of the day, when we look back and when we look 5 years later, baby, the thing that is going to be able to separate you from AI, from artificial intelligence, from artificial consciousness is your humanness. So really, how human are you? How human are you? How much of your personality is not your personality? How much of your personality is just you doing things? It's like subconscious programming running in your brain. How much of your personality is just trauma? And you overgrown, grown ass fucking man, a grown ass woman operating off trauma. It's time for you to heal that shit. It's time for you to heal that shit. And it's time for you to be you who you are authentically. Okay? So if that energy is pushing you to do that, you need to do it. Now it's not the time to just keep doing the same shit you've been doing for 20 fucking years. For what? Why? You know, if you are like, oh, you know what, I think I'm tired of doing the same old. I think I'm tired of doing this. I don't feel like going to this place every Saturday. I don't feel like hanging out with the same loser I've been. I don't feel like staying stuck at this same boring ass job that I really fucking hate. Like, if you are getting these ideas and you are afraid to make the change, you should be afraid of getting left behind. Cause your ass is gonna be left behind. You should not be afraid of making a change, baby. You should be afraid of being left behind. So, if you are being pushed into this new reality, allow the death and the rebirth and the transformation to take place. Surrender to that shit. Allow for the healing to come because what I said, if you're not healing, you're being scammed. Allow for the healing to come. Allow for the healing to take place in your heart. Allow for the death transformation to rebirth to happen. And I promise you, you'll be okay. Another thing that I want to say that's happening in the energy of this chart that is so, particular. We have Saturn and Neptune are conjunct. They're together. So their energies are literally blended, right? This could be the decay of structures in your life, the falling of structures in your life, and that's okay. It could be scary if you feel like you have no structure right now, or you feel like you don't necessarily know what you're doing, you don't know what's going on. That's fine as long as it's life is forcing you to do some sort of healing, right? And a lot of times life, God, the universe will take things away from us so we can sit there and we can evaluate what is going on in our life. So that is okay. I don't want you to freak out if you feel like something that has always been a sense of structure in your life is changing or going under review. That's fine. All I'm going to say is do the healing, right? Because that is transforming you to be a different person who can have a different vibration and maintain something that is higher, something that probably really resonates with you, but you don't see how it resonates with you because you got too much like shit. You got too much gunk and trauma and just like lack and like beliefs that are not serving you, so you can't obtain the thing that the universe really wants you to give you. So, you know, God will start collapsing shit to force you to do that work. As long as you healing, you're okay. Now, if you are in a situation where structures are collapsing and someone is just like, oh yeah, I'll give you $5,000. You're like, why you want to give me $5,000? Just because. Just give me all your information. You're being scammed. If it's not coming with some sort of lesson or some sort of transformation or some sort of healing, I would beware. I would be aware, right? So Saturn and Neptune, their energies are blended. It's making a sextile to Pluto and Aquarius, that transformation. Also, Saturn and Neptune is making a sextile to Uranus and Gemini. So there is going to be some sort of unexpected change or unexpected development of events that happen. It can also be just like a new idea that you get, kind of like that eureka moment of, you know what, I want to do this. You know what, I want to do that. Or just something random happening in your life. And it's like, okay, well, I have to deal with this new problem, with this new situation, but it'll be okay, you know? So that Uranus and Gemini could just kind of throw in a little bit of a unexpected flair. And again, that Virgo energy is gonna want to be in control, is gonna want to make sense of things, but it's okay if you can't make sense of things right now. It just is. Like, I promise you, it's fine. It may feel scary, it may feel a little bit daunting, you may feel like you are wandering in the unknown, but like I said, everybody is. All of these planets are at the new, nobody know what's going on. The only person that's know what's going on is the divine. Nobody knows what's going on. But if you surrender to trust and if you trust in the divine, you will be divinely guided. Miraculously, miracles will happen in your life, you know, if you just surrender to God and if you could just pay attention and if you could just do the work, the little divine seeds. I'm gonna repeat myself a lot, and I don't care because I want this to be ingrained into y'all heads. You know, we go be working with this energy, so you go hear me speak. If you listen to my content, you go hear me speak on it. But this shit needs to be ingrained into y'all heads. Those little divine seeds, those little divine consciousness, those little eureka moments, those little bright ideas, you know, if you take that and if you plant it, when we really get in the thick of Pluto and Aquarius, when we really get into the thick of Neptune and Aries, when we really get into the thick of Uranus and Gemini, you're gonna be okay. But if you don't do the work in this moment, years later, you're gonna look up, you're gonna realize you were left behind. You don't want to be on a wrong timeline, on the wrong side of history when shit start hitting the fan because you gonna be asked out. So please take this moment to develop and take this time in life to like upgrade your life, girl, man, whatever you are, whatever you may be. Elevate your consciousness. Dive deeper into your humanity, you know, become a higher expression of yourself as a human so you can deal with the changes that are going to come. Okay? Um, that is also Pluto trine Uranus energy. There's a couple more things I want to say about this new moon, and then I'll leave it alone. But when we look at eclipses, right? Eclipses happen on the nodes. The North Node is where we can have a hunger, desire, or where faith is pushing us towards. And the South Node is where we can be in our comfort zone. It can also be a manifestation of toxic habits, outdated beliefs, or maybe something that we need to leave alone, that we need to outgrow. Um, and so the Virgo energy is with the South Node. The South Node is in Virgo. So you have to lean into faith. North Node Pisces, right? You gotta lean into faith. You have to lean into trust. You have to lean into surrender. Okay? You have to lean into believing it, because you feel it, even though you don't see it yet, but that needs to be grounded in doing the work, right? To make sure you're not being scammed, baby. But South Node Virgo, you have to let go of control. You are in situations that you cannot control. It's not up to you to control. It's not something that you can really make sense of, you know? So the more that you can surrender that control, the better that you will be. And mind you, we're having something that take place in 0 degrees of a sign, and some take place at 29 degrees of the sign, with the south node in the middle of the sign. You gonna have to let go of something. You gonna have to let go of something. You gonna have to let go of a belief. You gonna have to change. You gonna have to grow in some sort of way. So don't be afraid when that happens. I do think that Mars and Libra is actually really gonna help with this energy. Mars doesn't do too well in Libra. It doesn't have a lot of agency in Libra, which is good because I also feel like this is going to be forced surrender. If Mars is in a sign like Capricorn, Aries, or Scorpio, you're going to want to feel more so in control. You're going to want to do something. You're going to want to try and be proactive. You're going to want to try and control something. You're going to want to try and make something go your way, but this is not what you are supposed to be doing, you know? So I do feel like Mars and being in Libra could kind of help you surrender to this, help us, the collective, surrender to this energy a little bit and kind of think of things from both sides, think of things from other perspectives. Mars and Libra is really good for mental mental gymnastics. Mars and Libra is good for mental gymnastics. So if you have to do like a little bit of mental gymnastics, like that's okay. Like lean into that. Be encouraged to do that. Like look at things from other perspectives, kind of think of your plan, think of things like a little bit logically, taking the surrounding factors, surrounding details, but not just be so like locked into your head, right? But also too, the other thing that I want to say is that we have Jupiter in Cancer and Venus in Cancer. So again, even though it may feel like one part of your life just has so much, or life in general, honestly, because we're covering a lot of energy here um, between Aries, Gemini, and Aquarius, that's like a big portion of the sky. So it could just be a lot of your life where it kind of feels uncertainty, or you in general could just feel like, okay, I know I don't feel like I used to feel. I notice that I am different than I was before, but I can't quite put my finger on what is different about me, you know? But that's okay. So whereas you may be like having these challenges in one area of your life, or you being called to grow in one area of your life, or you being called to grow in general, or you just being faced with a lot of uncertainty, you should definitely be able to see blessings coming in or be experiencing some sort of positivity at the same time. And I feel like that energy, that Jupiter and Cancer energy, could manifest, could be glimpses into how good it can get, right? And I also do think that it's a little bit, crazy, but of course, divinely intentional to me that when we look at the signs like these masculine signs like Aries, Aquarius, Gemini, these are all masculine signs. These are signs that we want to, that these are masculine energy in chart, right? Masculine signs, that fire, air is very like proactive. It's very like you want to do something, you want to take control of something, you want to make something go your way, you want to, exert yourself, implement yourself. But we have so much unstable energy in these masculine signs, even Mars being a masculine planet in a masculine sign, Libra, doesn't have a lot of agency there. So I feel like there's just like this overall theme of surrender with the North Node being in Pisces, all this unstable energy and in the masculine parts of the sky. But Mars, being a masculine planet in Libra, it's like there's a level of surrender. There's a level of we need to surrender what we cannot control. We need to do the internal work and flow with the divine. We need to nurture ourselves, North Node and Pisces, okay? Jupiter and Cancer, okay? And honestly, guys, I feel like if you do that, you'll be fine. Um, and I don't have much more to say. So I'm not gonna drag this out. If you listen to this, thank you so much. Please stay tuned. Because I'm gonna break down the eclipses and you're really gonna want to pay attention to that because like I said, eclipses are so important. They're so important. Eclipses is when your life changes. Okay? Eclipses is when crazy shit, dramatic shit start popping off. If you got an important placement that's being eclipsed, that's when you go experience it. You may not see it then, you may not see it there, but a couple months later you go look back and you go be like, damn, this area of my life is completely different. It's not what it used to be. So that's always exciting. Um, but yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning into my content. If you liked it, please share it with a friend. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're watching on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, please subscribe, follow the podcast, leave a review. If you would like to book with me, check my website. My books are open. I love y'all. Thank y'all so much for listening. I pray that you have a good week, a good day, a good life, and um, bye. Thank you.